Hi, this is Margo Morton for my class EDL 851, Supervision and Evaluation. For Module 13, we were given a case study titled A Good Teacher Turned Bad, and in sum, that's exactly what the case study was about. This case study was about a former teacher of the year, Mrs. Horton, and she's hit a bit of a rough patch. There's been mounting complaints from parents. She's been berating teachers and arguing, very confrontational, refusing to implement the new reading curriculum. And the most recent episode was that she handled a parent meeting very poorly. And so all of this is likely stemming from some changes in her home situation. And so my task for this module was to implement a plan for how I would help get this teacher back on track. A few things I'd like some more information about before making my decisions. I would like to know if Principal Wilson has been documenting her year so far with all of the complaints that's been received, as well as his or her observations. I'm curious why there's such a disconnect between the principal's observations and what other people are reporting. It makes me wonder if these evaluations are planned ahead of time, and perhaps the teacher is just kind of putting on a dog and pony show. And I'm wondering how many observations have been conducted so far. I'm also curious if there are some counseling services available for Mrs. Horton. I know in my district, through our insurance, we have counseling services available that we can access. So I'm wondering if perhaps we could get her some support through that avenue. I'm also wondering what the district's policy is for unsatisfactory teachers. There's some steps like putting on a plan of assistance. And if the superintendent has not been involved so far, I know there was that one phone call, but I would like to also bring the superintendent on board for these decisions. When I identified the problem, I really narrowed it down to 2 points. The first problem is that the teacher's home life is affecting her personal life, which is then in turn affecting the classroom environment. And then secondly, there's a significantly damaged relationship between parents of this classroom and that classroom teacher. So for my plan of action, first and foremost, I just need to have an immediate brief meeting with Mrs. Horton and send her home for the day. I don't think she's in the state of mind to be in the classroom, and it wouldn't be beneficial for her or students. I would not try and solve the situation that day in that meeting. I think everyone needs to calm down a bit and come back for a follow-up meeting when everyone's a bit more neutral feeling. During this follow-up meeting, I want to share the observations and information with Mrs. Horton and try and just get down to the root of the problem and really just ask her intentions, if she's capable and has the desire to carry on this school year, or if a long-term sub needs to be hired. Based on how that conversation goes, then I would need to perhaps start a collaborative goal setting process with her. And it really needs to be her goals and her decision, because she's going to be the one who's having to make a few changes, and it requires a lot of buy-in on her part. I would have multiple people in place for evaluating her, and this would be completely at random, just drop-ins, things like that. But also not giving her the sense that she's just being watched like a hawk and that we're just trying to find any little thing wrong. This is a human being that needs a lot of support right now emotionally, and having a support team in place for her is important as well. Based on what gets decided with this meeting with Mrs. Horton, I would also have a follow-up meeting with parents. Parents need to be given some of the information, but not all, because the privacy of the teacher needs to be protected. But I think parents are very tense right now, concerned about their children, rightfully so, and I would like to set their mind at ease. So based on the decisions, I felt that I promoted success for all students by promoting a safe, calm learning environment, positive working relationships, and having effective teachers both academically and socially. As I was reflecting on this process, about what I thought, what I felt, what I valued, I felt that this was a very real world issue, so I connected to it very easily. I think it's important to not make rash decisions and really get all perspectives and all sides. Because if I would have made a rash decision, I would have, based on my immediate feelings, I was feeling a bit angry and disgusted with the teacher, and I thought, man, that teacher needs to go. But then as I really thought about this case study a bit more deeply, I realized this was a former teacher of the year, and there must be a reason for that. So it would be a shame to dismiss such a exemplary teacher who's going through a bit of a rough patch. Let's just try and problem solve and help her work through this. I was valuing obviously the student welfare along with teacher welfare, um, positive relationships, and data collection. As far as following up, I would want to obviously closely monitor the teacher and make great strides to repair damage done between parents and the school, but I also think that's on Mrs. Horton as well. Lastly, I promoted the academic success of each student by making sure they're in a safe learning environment, acting with professionalism to ensure healthy relationships, and then holding teachers to high standards. I promoted the personal well-being of students by, again, ensuring their student safety, that's first and foremost always, effectively and frequently communicating with parents, because the research shows that the better relationship between parents and school, the better chances for student success, and deeply knowing my staff members, which will help reflect back into the classroom environments. And lastly, I enhanced instructional capacity by making database decisions. All of these follow-ups and the different people who are going to be evaluating, we'll come together at the end of the year and really decide if she made strides on those goals and things like that. So all those decisions need to be based on data. Holding teachers to high standards, of course, will improve instructional capacity, and then stabilizing that classroom environment as quickly as possible so students can get back to learning, which is why they're there. And that concludes my module 13. Thank you, and if you have any questions, please feel free to email me or comment on Google Community. Thank you.